I never imagined I'd be the villain in my own daughter's life story. But here I was, Magnolia Thornbuck, 62 years old, mother of two, and real estate matriarch of Maple Ridge County, being told implicitly that I was no longer welcome at Thanksgiving dinner. It didn't start like that, of course. It began 3 years ago, the day Emma brought home Weston Caldwell. Emma, my younger daughter, had always been a light in my life, kind-hearted, brilliant, the sort who saw beauty in the smallest gestures. And Weston, he came into our lives like a dream wrapped in a tailored suit. He was flawless, too flawless in hindsight. From the moment he stepped into our home, Weston was perfect. Impeccably dressed, polished shoes, warm smile, and compliments that landed just right. "Mrs. Thornbuck," he said, "Emma speaks so highly of you. It's an honor to meet the woman who raised such a remarkable daughter." Even Olivia, my older daughter and consummate skeptic, whispered, "He's different." "Emma looks happy, Mom." And Emma did look happy, radiant, even. After so many disappointments, she had finally found someone who seemed to cherish her gentle heart. When they got engaged, I was overjoyed. At the party, I raised a glass to finding someone who sees you completely and loves every part. Weston smiled, pulled Emma close, and kissed her temple. But I missed it the way his fingers dug into her shoulder just slightly, the moment her smile faltered. The smallest warnings. We see what we want to see, especially when it comes to our children's happiness. Their wedding was everything Emma had dreamed of, an intimate garden ceremony at my Victorian home. Fairy lights twinkling through the trees, wildflower arrangements we made together. Emma walked down the aisle on my arm. She insisted, "Without Dad, it has to be you." My heart nearly burst. They bought a small fixer-upper nearby. Weston declined my offer to help with the down payment. "We want to build something together. Our own story." I respected that. 6 months later, Weston came to me quietly. "About your offer," he said, casting a glance toward the kitchen where Emma was making tea. "Not a gift, just a loan. Emma doesn't need to know. She worries." That should have been the first red flag, but love makes us blind. I agreed and drew up a private mortgage. I became their lender. I thought I was helping, but instead, I had unwittingly handed Weston the first tool in his arsenal of control. It started subtly. Emma's weekly lunches became rare. Her clothes changed, more muted, less her. Her long beloved hair cut short. "Compromise," she said when I asked. "Marriage is about compromise." "No, sweetheart. It's not about erasing who you are." Then came the dinner party. It was the 40th anniversary of my agency. Emma helped plan every detail, but when they arrived that night, she looked off. Red-rimmed eyes, forced smile. Weston dominated the evening, correcting her stories, talking over her. When Emma proudly said she suggested I expand into commercial real estate years ago, Weston laughed. "Emma in commercial. She can barely negotiate her dry cleaning." My hand clenched around my wine glass. "She has one of the sharpest minds I've ever known," I said evenly. "She just chose service over profit." Weston's smile thinned. "Of course." After they left, Olivia stayed behind. She looked at me, eyes hard. "That's not our Emma." I wanted to deny it, but she was right. The daughter I raised was fading into a shadow, and I wasn't about to let her disappear. The first year of Emma and Weston's marriage seemed fine, almost too fine. They bought a modest house not far from mine, a fixer-upper with charming potential. They handled everything together, or so I thought. Weston even declined my offer to help with the down payment. "We want to do it on our own, Magnolia. Build something together." I admired that. But 6 months in Weston showed up on my porch. Emma was inside, unaware. "I've been thinking about your offer to help," he said. Not as a gift, alone, quiet. Emma doesn't need to worry. Something in his tone made my stomach turn, but I told myself he was just being considerate. We signed a private mortgage agreement. I became their lender. I thought I was giving them freedom. Instead, I handed Weston control. He called it protecting Emma from stress. But slowly Emma started to fade. Lunch dates turned into postponed texts. Her bright wardrobe dulled into neutral grays and navy. The vintage earrings I gave her, she stopped wearing them. Weston thinks they look old-fashioned, she said with a soft laugh. Her long hair, her pride since college, was suddenly chopped into a severe bob. He said it looks more professional. I started asking gentle questions. She smiled through them. Marriage is about compromise, Mom. You taught me that. No, I thought. I taught you how to stand tall. But Weston was bending her into something she no longer recognized. Then came the 40th anniversary dinner of my agency, the same event where Weston humiliated Emma publicly. Afterward, Emma's smiles grew rarer. I asked her out to lunch, just us. She picked a small cafe far from her home. I just wanted to check in, I said, holding her hand. Are you? Happy tears welled up in her eyes instantly. It broke me. It's not that simple, Mom. She told me everything. Weston criticized her cooking her friends her choices. He demanded access to her phone, questioned every outing, controlled their finances, so she had to ask for money to buy groceries, even though her full salary from the nonprofit went into their joint account. If she pushed back, he went silent for days, then returned with roses, apologies, jewelry. I think I'm going crazy, she whispered. No, sweetheart. That's how it works, I said softly. If he was cruel all the time, you'd have left already. I'm not leaving him, she said firmly. I'm not asking you to. I lied, because if I had pushed too hard, I knew I'd lose her. 2 weeks later, Emma called. Weston wants to apologize for the dinner party. Can you come over for dinner? I said yes. Their home looked lovely, renovated and warm. Weston was charming, apologetic, claimed he had been stressed. Emma cooked a wonderful meal. She still looked to Weston before speaking, still paused, measured her voice. But I hoped maybe we were rebuilding, until Weston leaned back during coffee. There's something I wanted to ask, he said lightly. Emma's smile froze. We're thinking about starting a family, Weston continued. But the mortgage? Things are tight. I was hoping since you're technically the lender we could renegotiate. Maybe lower the interest rate, or even convert part of the loan into a gift. I stared at him. I wasn't aware you were struggling, I said. We're not, he replied quickly. Just being proactive. Emma said nothing. I'm afraid that's not possible right now, I answered calmly. I have financial obligations myself. His smile tightened. Of course. I understand. But the dinner ended quickly after that. Emma didn't call for days. I finally drove to their house. Her car was there. No one answered the door. I used the spare key only for emergencies. Emma's silence. I found her in the bathroom sitting on the edge of the tub, eyes empty. He's away for the weekend. Golf with clients, she said flatly. Then she told me everything. He'd smashed her phone after the dinner. Said she had humiliated him, that she didn't have his back. He didn't hit me. She said he just knows how to make me feel like I don't exist. I helped her pack a bag. She came home with me. For 3 days she rested, ate pancakes, read books, reconnected with her sister. She even laughed again. But on the 3rd night she packed her bag. I need to go back. You don't have to, I whispered. He's my husband, for better or worse. She was choosing the worse, and I was running out of time. Thanksgiving was approaching the kind of holiday Emma and I used to plan for weeks in advance. We had our own traditions. My mother's cranberry relish her favorite cider little place cards, handwritten with seasonal puns. It used to be a holiday of warmth, not worry. That year the invitation came by email. Dear, all it read. Weston and I are excited to host Thanksgiving at our home. We can't wait to show you the newly finished dining room. Please let us know what dish you're bringing. It was too formal. Not Emma's voice. I replied immediately, I'll bring the cranberry relish and Emma's favorite pie. I can come early to help prep. Her response came quickly. That would be lovely. Come around 10:00 a.m. I felt cautiously optimistic. Maybe Emma was finding her voice again. Maybe this was her subtle way of reclaiming space. Thanksgiving morning arrived crisp and clear. I bundled up with my dishes in tow and headed to their house. The front door opened before I even knocked. Weston. He smiled. Magnolia, happy Thanksgiving. He paused looking at the dishes in my arms. There's been a change of plans. My stomach clenched. Emma isn't feeling well. Migraine. We're keeping things quiet, just the two of us today. I frowned. If she's unwell, I'd like to see her. She's sleeping, he replied, stepping between me and the hallway. I tried again. She asked me to come early. To help. I know. She meant well, but she's very sensitive to sound right now. Best not to wake her. His smile was tight, cold. Magnolia, he continued, voice lower. You've been overstepping lately. All the calls, the drop-ins, the advice. Emma needs space. She never told me that, I said calmly. She's too kind to say it to your face, but it's exhausting for her. Each word was a blade. Still, I stood my ground. I'd like to hear that from Emma herself. That won't be possible. Then I'm not leaving. His jaw clenched. This is my house. Actually, I said it's technically mine. Or have you forgotten who holds the mortgage? His smile dropped. We stood frozen in that tension until Mom Emma appeared behind him in her robe, eyes squinting against the light. She's not feeling well, Weston said quickly. You need rest, sweetheart. I heard voices, Emma said, then looked at me. Mom, I'm sorry. I do have a headache. It's fine, honey, I said softly. I just wanted to check on you. Can I make you Grandma's tea remedy? Weston started to speak, but Emma interrupted him. Actually, I'd love that. No one makes it like Mom. The look on Weston's face was priceless, shocked then furious. In the kitchen, while preparing tea, I whispered, What's really going on? Emma hesitated. He canceled Thanksgiving last night. Told everyone I wasn't well enough. And were you? She nodded. Yes, but we fought. About the guest list. About you. He said I had to choose your comfort or his. I stirred the tea with shaking hands. And you didn't uninvite me. I couldn't. So he did. Then I got sick. I looked into her eyes. Emma, this is isolation. He's cutting you off. She flinched. He's never hit me. Abuse isn't always physical. You know that. She nodded slowly. I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. Weston reappeared at the kitchen door. Feeling any better, sweetheart? A little, she murmured. Mom's tea helps. Wonderful, he said brightly. Maybe your mother can stay for a small lunch, just the three of us. I smiled. How thoughtful. But I saw the truth behind his mask. As Emma stepped away to rest, Weston turned to me, voice like ice. This doesn't change anything. You are not welcome to interfere. What boundaries, Weston? I replied softly. The ones where you control her finances. Break her phone. Erase her self-worth. He picked up a knife and began slicing carrots with deliberate precision. You have no idea what goes on in this marriage. I think I do. Silence settled between us like storm clouds. Emma returned for lunch. Weston flipped the switch once again, playing the doting husband, but I watched everything. Emma laughing too hard, checking his eyes before speaking, the quiet corrections he made to her memories. By dessert, I knew. She wasn't ready to leave, but I was ready to create an escape. The following months felt like an emotional chess game. Every move Weston made was strategic. Every silence Emma endured was loud. After that Thanksgiving, I noticed changes, not just in Emma, but in how Weston maneuvered her life like he was shaping clay. Invitations were declined. Calls went unanswered. Emma grew quieter, still polite, but increasingly absent. Then came a familiar pattern, brief reconnections, followed by long silences. A week after the incident, Weston texted me, "We should visit you soon. Emma's been saying how much she misses home." I didn't believe a word of it. But when they arrived, Weston was at his charming best, warm, humorous, apologetic. Emma clung to that version of him, laughing a little too hard at his jokes, checking his expression before speaking. During dessert, she offered to show me photos of their dining room renovation. Weston followed, placing his hand lightly possessively on the small of her back. There was something in the gesture that felt performative, like a politician kissing a baby. Later that night, I whispered to Olivia, "He's winning her back. She's not a prize," Olivia said. "She's someone trying to survive." Those words sat heavy in my chest. Weeks later, I received an email from Emma. They were hosting again this time, a casual Sunday brunch for family. I replied with enthusiasm and offered to bring scones. But when I arrived, Weston met me at the door again. "Emma's upstairs," he said. "She's not feeling her best, but she insisted on going ahead with the brunch." Inside, the atmosphere was stifling. Weston dominated conversation as always, but now he was cloaked in a new version of himself, the doting husband. He kept referencing Emma's fragile nerves, her low energy, and how she was resting more. I knew what he was doing. He was constructing a narrative. He was rewriting Emma in front of others, turning her into a woman too delicate to function on her own. Fragile. Faint. That was not the Emma I raised. After the guests left, I cornered her in the kitchen. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine," she replied quickly, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. "Sweetheart, you're vanishing." She looked down. "I just want to keep the peace, Mom. Peace isn't silence. It's safety." "Are you safe?" She didn't answer. That was all the answer I needed. Then came a Sunday that shattered my last thread of tolerance. Emma had agreed to meet me for lunch. She never showed. I texted, called, nothing. Worried, I drove to her house. Weston answered, stepping onto the porch, pulling the door halfway shut behind him. "She's asleep," he said firmly. "Didn't you get her message?" "No." "I didn't." "Well, she's not up for visitors. Then let her tell me that." He smirked. "Why don't you trust me, Magnolia?" "I don't trust men who make my daughter disappear." He chuckled, but there was no warmth in it. "Maybe you just don't like not being in control." It was the most honest thing he'd ever said. The next morning, I went to my office early and asked Harold, my trusted assistant, to bring me the mortgage file. "I want every clause, every technicality. If we have leverage, I want to know it." He raised an eyebrow. "Something happened. Something's happening every day, Harold." I just finally opened my eyes. Together, we reviewed the documents. In the original terms, I'd included a provision standard in private lending that allowed me to request a full inspection of the property with 72 hours notice. It was time to use it, not as punishment, but as the beginning of a rescue. I met with my attorney the next day. She listened carefully, eyes narrowing with each detail I shared. Can you prove any physical abuse? No. But the financial manipulation, emotional control, isolation. It's all documented in Emma's behavior. We'll start with a legal property inspection. Serve notice. If Weston refuses, he breaches the contract. And if he complies, then we make him uncomfortable. Remind him who holds the cards. I signed the forms that afternoon. The courier delivered them to Emma and Weston's house at precisely 8:30 a.m. At 8:51, my phone rang. It was Weston. What the hell is this, Magnolia? Good morning to you too, I replied. You're inspecting our house? As per the mortgage agreement. You should read section 14C more carefully. This is harassment? No, it's due diligence. Emma will be devastated. Then you should let her read it. She deserves to understand how her house is financed. Silence. Then cold and clipped, expect to hear from my attorney. I look forward to it. Emma called that evening, her voice tight with confusion. Weston showed me some kind of legal notice today. Are you really inspecting the house? Yes, I said gently. Nothing's wrong. It's a standard procedure. But I'd like you to be there. He's very upset. Emma, this is your home too. You deserve transparency. She paused for a long time. I don't know who to trust anymore. You don't have to trust me, I said softly. Just trust yourself. Come to the inspection. That Thursday, I dressed like I was walking into a courtroom. Tailored suit, pearls, the works. Harold and I arrived precisely at 10:00. Emma answered the door. She looked tired, but something had changed. There was a sharpness in her eyes, like something dormant had begun to stir. She led us through the house while Harold took notes. Weston, I was told, was at meetings. Convenient. I noted every detail. The perfectly organized space. The tension in Emma's posture. The faint buzzing of her phone on the counter, buzzing again and again. Weston, I asked. Emma nodded. Checking in 5 times in 30 minutes. I looked into her eyes and said, You don't need to explain. She smiled just slightly, but it was real. The weeks following the inspection were unnervingly quiet. Emma returned to silence, but something in her had shifted. Her eyes no longer darted nervously. She asked questions more confidently. When we spoke on the phone, her voice carried a note of calm defiance. I knew Weston noticed it too. Then came the final straw. It was a Friday afternoon when I received a call from the police department. A polite but firm officer explained that a report had been filed against me, alleging harassment, elder manipulation, and threats of financial coercion. You're listed as the lender on the property, the officer said. The complaint states that you're using the mortgage as leverage to interfere with a marital relationship. I felt the floor shift beneath me. Is this coming from my daughter? No, ma'am. The report was filed by Mr. Weston Fairchild. Of course it was. I scheduled a meeting with my attorney within the hour. She reviewed the claim, clicked her tongue, and shook her head. He has no legal ground, but he's trying to create a narrative. Classic abuser playbook, discredit the supporter. That night, I wrote Emma a letter. Not a text, not a call, a handwritten letter she could hold read and reread when she needed strength. I told her I loved her, that I saw her, that I would never stop being her mother no matter who tried to silence me. I didn't hear back, not for days. But then a knock on my door one evening. Emma stood there, eyes rimmed red but shining. He read the letter, she whispered, tore it up, said you were poisoning me, that I had to choose. I opened the door wider. And what did you choose? She stepped inside. Me. I chose me. She stayed with me that night, and the next. She called in sick at work. Olivia came over and the three of us watched movies, cooked, cried, and laughed. Emma started making a list of things she wanted to take from the house. Her books, her guitar, the old yellow sweater our grandmother knitted. We made a plan. She would go home Saturday morning while Weston was at his gym. Pack quickly. I would wait outside in the car. But Weston came home early. I watched through the windshield as his car turned into the driveway. Emma froze on the porch, her bag at her feet. Weston stepped out, saw her, and then saw me. His face darkened. He walked briskly toward her. I flung the car door open and ran. "She's not going with you," he barked. "She's not your property," I snapped. "Back off." "You're brainwashing her. You want to ruin our marriage." Emma, shaking, looked at him. "No, you ruined our marriage. You did that when you made me afraid of my own voice." He stood there, chest heaving. Then something unexpected happened. Emma pulled out her phone. "I'm recording this. Any threats, any attempt to stop me, I'll file for a protective order." He stared at the phone like it was a snake. She stepped down the stairs and got into my car. I followed, hands trembling. We drove away. No words, just breath. Later that evening, she looked at me and said, "I think I need to talk to someone, professionally." "Therapy?" She nodded. "Yes, and maybe a lawyer." "You'll have both," I promised. I made the calls that night. By Monday morning, Emma had a trauma counselor. By Tuesday, she had a lawyer. By Wednesday, Weston had served a cease and desist letter. And on Thursday, a quiet miracle, Emma laughed. Fully, loudly, like the girl she used to be. We sat in the kitchen drinking tea, the sun painting soft gold on the floor. "Do you think he'll fight for the house?" she asked. "Let him try," I said. "He may think he owns the walls. But you're the foundation." She smiled. She was building again. Emma moved into a small apartment 2 towns over. It wasn't much, just a 1-bedroom walk-up with second-hand furniture and mismatched dishes, but it was hers. It was quiet, safe, the kind of silence she chose, not the kind forced upon her. We helped her settle in. Olivia painted the kitchen a soft sage green. I stocked the cabinets with food. Emma placed a single-frame photo on the shelf above her bed, one of her, Olivia and me, arms-linked, wind in our hair. "I forgot how much I missed this," she whispered one night, sipping tea on the balcony. "What?" "Breathing." We didn't speak after that. We didn't need to. Weston didn't leave quietly. He filed a counterclaim accusing Emma of emotional abandonment. He demanded the house half her retirement savings and visitation with the dog they never even adopted. "He wants the dog," Olivia asked, incredulous. "They never even picked one out." Emma muttered, rubbing her temples. "He's grasping," I said. "Let him flail." We gathered a team. Emma's lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Marcia, set boundaries like a fortress. Her trauma therapist, Elena, helped Emma rebuild from the inside out. It wasn't easy. Emma cried after every session, but she kept going. The first court date arrived. I offered to sit with her. She agreed. Weston showed up in a tailored navy suit, carrying a leather binder like a CEO attending a pitch meeting. He looked confident, smug even. Emma wore a pale blue blouse, no makeup, and her hair in a low ponytail. She looked like herself. When asked to speak, she stood, voice steady, eyes clear. "I'm not here to destroy anyone. I'm here to reclaim myself." The courtroom fell silent. Even Weston blinked. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, nodded. "Let's proceed." That day marked a turning point. Not in legal terms, those would come slowly, but in Emma's spine, her voice, her certainty. And weeks passed. Court sessions, paperwork, therapy. But in between the battles, life bloomed. Emma started volunteering at a local library's literacy program. She taught adult learners twice a week. I feel useful again, she told me. Valued. She began journaling, taking long walks, cooking again real meals, not frozen dinners. She made friends at the library, people who didn't know her as Weston's wife. Just Emma. She even laughed about things now. One afternoon, while sorting through old boxes, she found a photo of her and Weston from their honeymoon. Look at this, she said, handing it to me. We were both pretending. Pretending what? That we were happy, that this was what I wanted. She didn't cry. She simply placed the photo in the shredder. Clean cut, clean break. Then came Thanksgiving again. 1 year later, Emma insisted on hosting. Not out of defiance, but because she was ready. I want to replace the memories, she said, with something that doesn't make my chest hurt. She cooked all week. Olivia brought wine and pies. I made the cranberry relish. The apartment smelled of cinnamon, rosemary, and hope. We ate on a mismatched table Emma found at a thrift shop. We used colorful plates and cloth napkins. We lit candles and gave thanks. To freedom, Olivia toasted. To courage, I added. Emma raised her glass last. To coming home to yourself. She smiled, and this time it reached all the way to her eyes. After Thanksgiving, Emma began sorting through everything Weston had left behind. Not just the physical, his shirts, the expensive cologne, a pair of cufflinks he never wore, but the intangible two memories, questions, emotional residue. Closure wasn't something that came easily. It wasn't a line she crossed. It was a letter she kept rewriting. I want to write to him, she said one afternoon, her fingers hovering over her laptop. To Weston. Yes. Not to send it. Just to say what I never got to. I didn't argue. I knew the power of unspoken truth when they finally met the page. Emma began writing every evening. She filled journals, documents, napkins even. Some entries were raw, furious. Others tender, nostalgic. It was a mirror she dared to hold up to her former self. She let Olivia and me read a few. One stood out. You taught me silence. But now I speak. And every word I reclaim is one less thread tying me to you. We cried, all three of us, not from pain, but from the release. Meanwhile, Weston was still trying to maintain control. His lawyer sent emails filled with veiled threats. He posted carefully curated photos on social media, new suits, lavish dinners, smiling with people Emma didn't know. Olivia called it the spin campaign. He's not trying to win you back, she said. He's trying to win the story. Emma didn't reply to any of it. She blocked his number, deleted his emails, gave all communication to her lawyer. But emotional tethering doesn't snap all at once. It frays, slowly. One night she confessed, part of me still wonders if I made it all up, if it was really that bad. I took her hands. Abuse thrives in doubt. You're not crazy. You were conditioned to question yourself. She nodded, breathing deeply. I believe you. I'm learning to believe me. One Sunday while cleaning, she found a box of letters. Not hers, his. Weston had written her often when they were dating. Poems, love notes, little affirmations. I don't know what to do with these, she admitted. They feel like a lie. They were real at the time, I said, but that doesn't mean they belong in your future. She took the box to the backyard fire pit that evening. One by one, she tossed the letters into the flames. Some burned fast. Others curled slowly. When it was done, she stood in silence for a long while. Then she whispered, "Goodbye." Not to him, to the version of herself that needed his approval. The divorce hearing was set for March. Until then, Emma focused on finishing her trauma recovery program. Elena, her counselor, introduced a new practice: writing letters never meant to be sent. "You already started," I said, smiling. Emma nodded. "But now I write them to myself, too." She shared one: "Dear me, you stayed when it was hard. You left when it became harder. You are not broken. You are rebuilding. I am proud of you." She framed that one, hung it by the door. So every time she left or came home, she saw it and remembered. The weeks following Weston's legal defeat were quiet, almost too quiet. Emma no longer jumped when her phone rang. No more anonymous emails. No more cryptic messages from former acquaintances. But peace felt unfamiliar, like a new pair of shoes that still needed breaking in. She focused on routines. She volunteered more hours at the nonprofit, even helped design a financial literacy workshop for women re-entering the workforce. Her evenings were spent journaling or cooking, sometimes just watching Olivia paint while soft music filled their apartment. But then came a knock. A man in a suit, balding polite, stood at her door one Tuesday afternoon. He introduced himself as Peter Langley, an agent with the Securities and Exchange Commission. "We've received some flagged financial activity related to your former husband's accounts," he said. "Would you be open to speaking with us?" Emma nodded. "Of course." For the next few weeks, Emma met with federal agents. At first, it was terrifying, recounting years of financial manipulation, sharing documents she hadn't looked at in months. But soon it felt liberating. She explained how Weston managed joint assets without her consent, how he opened accounts in her name, how he pressured her to sign blank forms. With every word, the burden lightened. One afternoon, she and I sat on the fire escape sipping tea. "I used to think staying silent was easier," she said. "And now I know silence is heavy, truth moves." One morning, Emma received an unexpected package from Weston's former business associate. Inside, an old notebook Weston had left behind at a retreat. Pages filled with schemes, notes on how to control, narrative, manage perception, and a list titled "Leverage Points." Emma's name appeared more than once. She showed it to her lawyer, who added it to the SEC case file. But she kept a photocopy. "I want to remember," she told me, "not to stay angry, to stay awake." On the day the SEC froze Weston's assets, Emma was at the library reading to a group of second graders. She only found out later that evening. Her response wasn't loud, no celebration. Just a single sentence whispered as she closed the book. "It's done." That night she made dinner for Olivia, and me stuffed peppers, roasted squash, and lemon tarts. We toasted with sparkling cider. "To endings," Emma said. "No," I corrected gently. "To beginnings." Spring settled slowly over the city, buds blooming, light lasting longer, warmth creeping into the bones of the buildings. After the legal dust settled, Emma didn't declare victory. She declared peace. Peace looked like morning walks, hands in her coat pocket, watching children draw on sidewalks with chalk. It looked like planting rosemary and basil in mismatched pots on her windowsill. She had no urge to announce her healing. She lived it. The nonprofit welcomed her back with quiet hugs and a hand-painted sign, "Welcome home, Emma." She resumed work gently, just 3 days a week, then 4. She designed a new literacy curriculum focused on women starting over. She named the program Blank Pages, because every woman deserves to start fresh, she explained. One Friday, I arrived with lemon cake. She was helping a woman named Noelle, a mother of 2 escaping a violent marriage. Emma showed her how to set up a checking account, apply for housing, and read through a lease. Noelle hugged her before leaving. Emma smiled softly and whispered, "I know how it feels to be seen and helped finally." I stayed until sunset. Emma pulled out a folder, tattered, yellowed her original loan documents from me. "You kept these?" I asked. "I want to rewrite them," she said, "as a gift, not a loan." The house was never about Weston. It was always about us. Tears welled in my eyes. "Then let's rip these up and start fresh." We did. Later that month, the director of the State Domestic Violence Coalition called Emma. "I read about your case," the woman said. "Would you speak at our annual summit?" Emma hesitated. "I'm not a speaker. You're a survivor. We need your voice." She agreed. We traveled together to the summit. Olivia joined too. We sat in the front row holding hands as Emma took the stage. Her speech was simple. She didn't quote statistics or recite legal jargon. She told her story. Her voice trembled, then steadied. The room was silent, hundreds of people holding breath, some crying, some nodding. She ended with this: "They told me silence was safer, but silence nearly cost me everything. Speaking gave me my life back." A standing ovation followed. But more than applause, it was the line of women who came after thanking her, hugging her, sharing their own stories, that marked the moment. She had become more than a survivor. She was now a beacon. The summer Emma turned 36, she bought a new doormat. It read, "Only kindness enters here," and she meant it. By then her life had taken root. Blank Pages expanded across 3 counties. Emma was promoted to program director, mentoring not just learners, but the next generation of advocates. Her apartment still smelled like herbs and lemon tea, and Olivia spent weekends painting by the window while Emma read. Peace wasn't an event. It was a rhythm. One afternoon, Emma received a letter in the mail from Weston. She held it for a long time before opening it. No return address. Inside was a single page. "I hope you're doing well. I'm in counseling. I regret what I did. I know I lost more than a marriage. I lost respect. I'm sorry. That's all." She folded it and placed it in a drawer. Not to keep, not to forgive, just to witness. I needed to see that she said later, "Not for him, for me." A winnishin something he domains. And snares out on being. Jen and do. Oh. That autumn, I invited Emma and Olivia to come see the house I'd quietly purchased months earlier. It was a Victorian, on a quiet street, modest but full of light, with bay windows and a small garden out back. I bought it with no names attached, no mortgages, just my own signature. Emma walked through it slowly, hand tracing the banister. "You planning to move in?" I smiled. "No, you are. For you and Olivia, and whoever you both become next." Tears welled in her eyes. "Mom, this isn't repayment. This is legacy. I'm giving you what I never had a place to land when life gets rough. A home that doesn't hold its breath." We signed the transfer papers together. Emma held the keys as if they were sacred. Their housewarming was small, but radiant. String lights on the porch. A potluck table full of hand-me-down recipes. Friends from work. Neighbors, former students. Emma stood in the living room, wine glass in hand, and toasted to the women who came before us, who couldn't leave, who couldn't speak. We rise for them now. People cheered. I watched from the staircase, pride swelling so large I could barely breathe. Later that night, when the guests had gone and Olivia was asleep, Emma sat beside me. "You saved me, Mom." I shook my head. "No, baby. I stood beside you while you saved yourself." She leaned on my shoulder. We didn't speak for a long time, and in the silence, I knew the house had no shadows, only warmth. Emma had built a new story, and she wasn't the only one.